Well, good morning, everyone. We are so excited to be with you all today to talk Reddit and getting ready for the new year with Reddit in mind. Sashita and I will be your hosts for today. We can't wait to walk you through what we've presented. So just to quickly introduce ourselves. So Mary Diamond here. I'm a client partner on Reddit's ad partnerships team. I've been at Reddit for almost 3 years and moved to the UK 8 months ago to help build out our EMEA efforts. So one, we're really excited because this is our first EMEA Reddit webinar. And two, just excited to expand into this new market for Reddit. And I'll pass it over to Sash.
Cool, thanks, Mary. Hi, everyone. I'm Saj. Really great to meet you all. I'm an account manager here at Reddit. I've been here just over 2 months now. And in terms of my background, I've always worked within the digital marketing space. So I used to be at Facebook, also as an account manager, and a short time at Amazon as well. So yeah, really looking forward to diving in and showing to you guys the opportunities that you can have with Reddit.
Cool. Okay, so giving you guys an overview of what we will run through today. So hoping by the end of today, you guys have a better understanding of what Reddit is, who our audience is, then diving into our ad suite and overview. And then we'll go into New Year's trends on Reddit, best practices for your QA campaign, and then end with a Q&A section. So as we go through the presentation, if you guys have any burning questions that you want to get in before, feel free to just type them into either the chat or the Q&A on the Zoom, and we'll make sure to get to those at the end. Okay, so we'll kick things off. So what is Reddit? So for those of you who may not be as familiar with the platform, Reddit's been around for 16 years. And we are really, like, at our core, just a community of communities. So Reddit is made up of over passionate communities that can't be found anywhere else. So Reddit is made up of over 430 million monthly active visitors, and we have over 130,000 active communities on the platform. So there's really a community for whatever you might be interested in, whether that be makeup, fashion, beauty, gaming, technology, plants. There is a community for you, silly or serious. And I think one thing that really distinguishes Reddit in the social space is, like, on Reddit, you are following communities. You aren't necessarily following users. So it's really community focused. So for those of you who may not be familiar with what Reddit looks like, this is just an illustration of our app. So just to get you familiar with some basic mechanics on the platform. So what we're looking at is the home feed of Reddit. So this basically aggregates top posts from communities that you follow based on order of relevancy. So I just wanted to call out 2 quick naming conventions to Reddit just to get you guys super familiar with the platform. So you could see on that first post, it's r-aw. Aw is the name of the community. And then right below that u- the username, that is actually the username who posted that post. And then another thing that is unique to Reddit is our voting system. So an upvote means that you agree with the post, you find it relevant, you like it, and downvoting is for opposite reasons. You may not find it relevant for the community, you disagree with the post. So this is really amazing and unique to Reddit because at the, like, user level, there's all this amazing, like, community level moderation happening within the platform. So for instance, within the Ask Science community, if someone were to post something and not cite their source, everyone in that community would downvote it. So this is something that is unique to Reddit, where the top posts are being sourced by our users ourselves. Okay, so sort of shifting a little bit more into our audience and demographics. So what we're looking at here is a snapshot of our UK audience. So we definitely skew a little bit younger. I would say millennial and Gen Z is the sweet spot of our audience. However, we do have representation across every age range. And then our gender breakdown is close to 50-50. Now, this might be something some of you find surprising, and this is a figure that we're actually really proud of. So a lot of females have been flocking to the platform, whether that be in beauty, fashion, food, relationship communities. So we do see the female audience growing on Reddit, which is really exciting. And then touching on daily user growth in the UK specifically. So we're seeing 48% year-over-year user growth. So we're growing really fast in this region. And then the average household income of a Redditor is higher than the internet average. And lastly, just touching on device usage. So most users come to Reddit on their mobile device within the app. However, for a social media platform, Reddit does have healthy desktop traffic. Okay, and so I know a lot of you are from countries throughout Europe, so I did want to sort of touch on what Reddit looks like from a global scale. So the illustration on the right-hand side shows where Reddit's 5 largest markets are. Just to give you guys a little history lesson on Reddit and how we're growing, we just opened our UK office last year. And really exciting that we launched our Germany office last month. So we are slowly but surely growing in Europe, and it's a really exciting time to start thinking about Reddit. So I would say outside of these 5 largest markets, a lot of our user growth and user concentration is in Europe as well. So I just wanted to give you guys a snapshot of what the second largest European country looks like. So we definitely skew the same sort of age ranges and then a little heavier towards male. Okay, and then touching on the actual size of the UK audience, so just so you guys can get an idea of the scale. So I'm so sorry. We're working from home right now, and I think I might have someone at my door, but I'll just keep presenting. So we have over 26 million UK Ads Addressable monthly active visitors on the platform. And then I love to show this stat on the left-hand side. So what this is illustrating is that you are reaching eyeballs that you aren't reaching on other platforms on Reddit. So this is a really great opportunity for media buyers to be reaching incremental audiences. So the stat reads 15% of Redditors can't be found on Facebook, all the way down to 68% can't be found on Snap. And then lastly, just rounding out a little bit about our users, about their time on site. So as you can see, Redditors are up there in the ranks with spending a lot of time on site on the platform. So Redditors do love long form content. Redditors like to read. The origin of Reddit is I read it. So long form content is definitely welcome on this platform. And we'll get into a little bit of how advertisers can tap into that a little later. Okay, so why are users even coming to Reddit in the first place? So we ran a survey 2 years ago, and we found that the #1 reason was to be informed. So when I'm talking to advertisers, agencies, media buyers, I really think that this slide is probably Reddit's biggest superpower. So people look to Reddit when it comes to trusted product and brand recommendations. So as you can see in this graph, Reddit is within the ranks of these powerful search engines, far beating out every other social platform. And why is that? So I think that it comes down to a couple of different reasons. And one of the main ones being that when you sign up for Reddit, you are using a pseudonym. So I don't use Mary Diamond, I have a random username. And what this allows for is just a different type of conversation to happen on our platform that users would not have on other social platforms. So whether that be in like sort of the financial space, talking about what's the best way to refinance my loan, or in the skincare sort of realm, I have this pimple, what's the best way for me to get rid of it? There's a lot more like open, authentic, vulnerable conversations happening on Reddit that aren't happening anywhere else on the internet. And then we also have the element of there's no influencers on the platform. So whenever I want to buy a new product, I will Google the product and add Reddit. And I know that what I'm reading on Reddit is just users genuinely wanting to share their experience with the specific product or brand. So how can brands tap into that, like that special sauce that Reddit has? So we ran this research last year with Photo Analytics, where we analyzed over 1,500 purchases, cross verticals, and what we wanted to understand is where Reddit fit into the path to purchase and how we compared to other social channels. So I'll just walk you through this. So at the inspiration and exploration stage, Reddit's pretty much on par with other social platforms, and where we really start to differ is at that consideration stage. So Redditors are spending 4 times longer researching for products that they might want to try or buy. And then when it comes to making that purchase decision, Redditors are 9 times faster. They also spend 15% more, and they're 12% more likely to advocate for the product in the future. So these are really powerful statistics about our users. And I think like for brands, as you think about Reddit, yes, we could fit in at any stage of the funnel, but at that consideration stage, I think that's where you could really make a big impact with Redditors to think about trying or buying your product. So sort of shifting a little bit. Oh, we've got the nice animations. Give it a second. Shifting a little bit into how you can sort of tap into all of like our audience and users with our ad products. So I'll walk you through our entire ad suite right now. What we're looking at here is what an ad on Reddit looks like. So we call our advertisements promoted posts, very similar to other social platforms in that they run in feed, they look native. As you can see, there's a multitude of different formats that you can work with. So these are called promoted posts within feed. Now, we just launched something a couple of months ago, which is really exciting, called the conversation placement. So if you actually click into a post, you land on the conversation page, and that what you're seeing on the right-hand side is just a visualization of this. So previously, we were not monetizing this page, and we've since inserted an ad between the post and the comment section. So this has been really amazing for brands because one, you're more contextually relevant, as you can see with this HBO example. And two, if you have a specific audience that you want to reach, we found that like on average, the reach on Reddit has increased 20%. So what we would recommend for brands is to test both formats and see what works best. So the majority of the way that brands buy from us today is within our auction. So it's a self-serve auction platform. You can create your own ads manager and go in and set up the campaigns yourself. And these are the different ways that you could think about bidding within our auction. So we have CPM, CPV, and then a few different sort of CPC objectives. So I'll just touch on the differences really quickly. So for the conversions objective, we actually have a Reddit pixel that you can install, which will simply supercharge your campaign. So we would recommend installing that if you wanted to run a conversion objective. And down the line, you could also activate that for retargeting. And then for app installs, we do have integrations with all the major MMP partners. So running an app install objective with the MMP partner installed will just, again, supercharge that campaign to optimize for the best install. Okay, so touching on, you've got your campaign set up with one of those objectives. Now, how do you tap into our targeting? So this slide just gives a nice overview of it. So at a very basic level, we have device, location that you could overlay with your targeting. But I'd say the meat of Reddit's targeting is first party. So whether that be interest groups or communities. So we have over 40 different interests and sub-interests that advertisers can select from. So for instance, the food and drink interest group is basically a bunch of communities that we've identified as being a brand safe community for brands to advertise in. So you can work at either the interest level targeting all the way down to targeting by specific communities. So if you have a list of communities that you want to target, you could get that granular with targeting. And then just touching on audience expansion. So let's say you wanted to target food and drink lovers, but you also wanted to reach users that were similar to people who were interacting with food and drink on the platform. You could just tick a box that is audience expansion, and that will basically tell Reddit to reach users similar to that core user group. Okay, so sort of shifting a little bit into our reserved offering. So as mentioned earlier, the majority of the way that brands buy with us is within our auction. However, we do have a few different reserved or high impact offerings that brands can buy with us. These are all sold through our sales team. And we call them all takeovers. So they're bought on a fixed price. You get estimated impressions and they run for a set period of days. So I will walk you through the Reddit takeover and the front page takeover first, as these are very similar. So these are our most high impact, biggest scale sorts of products on the platform. So taking over the front page of Reddit for 24 hours. And what that means is your brand would be the first ad slot on the homepage on both mobile and desktop. And then the key difference between these two is with the Reddit takeover, you also get a trending element. So as you can see in this visualization, you get to insert your brand in the trending today module, as well as within the search bar. So if you're a brand that's thinking about trend, like aligning with what's trending on the platform or a key moment, or you have a product launch, we would really recommend this sort of product for you. And then sort of on the other end of the spectrum, we have the category takeover. So just to visualize what this looks like on mobile and desktop, so very similar to the other takeovers. However, this is specific to a category on Reddit. So for instance, if you wanted to take over beauty and fashion on Reddit, you would be that first ad slot within those specific communities for a set period of time. So mobile and desktop. And I also just wanted to call out on desktop for all of these takeover units, you also get these side banner units on the right-hand side. So this is a really great, just like premium offering for brands to think about. And like, to be totally honest with you guys, it's not a crazy price point for the category takeover. So I think this is really great for brands that specifically only want to reach one type of audience, but do want to do something a little cool or premium. And I think that might be it for the ads. So I will pass it over to Sashita to talk about the new year.
Cool. Thank you so much, Mary. Cool. So I'm going to just touch on some of the insights that we see across Reddit for the new year. As advertisers are kind of heading towards the end of the year now, a lot of them are starting to plan ahead of time and make sure that they are really in line with capturing those consumer behavioral trends that happen on the platform. So I will go into the main key trends that we see. So there are 4 kind of key consumer behavioral changes that we see across Reddit in the new year. And we also see a lot more users flocking to the platform in January to discuss their New Year's resolutions and also to keep each other held accountable. So fitness is the largest topic that we see sparking a conversation across a lot of different subreddits. there's a 63% increase in monthly visitors on these fitness communities as well. Career planning is also very top of mind for Redditors as they enter the new year, either to sort of pivot their career path or upskill and develop further. We do see a 52% increase in monthly visitors on these communities. And then we also see a massive uplift in wellness and mindset or a lifestyle change. That's a significant topic that engages users across Reddit, especially also as we're currently kind of experiencing the third wave of COVID. Redditors are coming to the platform to look for that level of support. And then finally, we have healthy eating. So healthy eating trends always do tend to pick up in the new year as users are looking for those healthier choices, and they do tend to be more motivated to eat more consciously as well. So I'll dive into each of these in a bit more detail. Starting with fitness, we do see subreddits like r/calorie counting, which starts to drive engagement around setting those fitness related resolutions, also sharing progress updates in the new year. So subreddits like r/progress pics is another subreddit that drives a huge amount of activity in the new year. Users tend to come onto this subreddit and post their resolutions. They continue to encourage each other and celebrate each other as well. And then weight loss as well was one of the biggest resolution keywords with the highest growth during January of last year. So we do expect a very similar trend in the new year. Most of the posts on all of these subreddits do celebrate success after 12 months. So there is that trend every sort of year that people do tend to see across Reddit. And then a number of Redditors have discussed the connection between improving their mental health with their physical exercise. So Redditors want to improve their well-being in the new year. And in some ways that conversation does tie into fitness as well, but not just fitness. So we do see this expanding right across other social activities or hobbies, eating, meditation, yoga practice, that kind of thing. And then one of the biggest subreddits within this sort of realm is r/running. So it gains a lot of traction, not only with users who are looking to run a marathon or do a 5K in the new year or set those kind of short-term goals, but also when it comes to mental health. Mental health is a massive topic that's spoken about across Reddit, and a lot of users do come to Reddit to discuss methods of improving their mental health. So this particular subreddit, r/running, has seen a 50% increase in UK visitors over the past year. And then just kind of combining that fitness and wellness related community feel on Reddit. So on average in the UK, we see a 31% increase in conversations around fitness in the new year. And this conversation does happen across multiple subreddits. So it's always important when we are thinking about launching our campaigns to keep the audience as broad as possible across these platforms and making sure to incorporate all the subreddits that we can, so that we are targeting our users across the communities where they are active. And then going into eating habits. So again, a number of posts on Reddit do indicate how Redditors have changed their eating habits as the new year begins. So when it comes to eating, users on Reddit do start conversations more so about eating healthier, but also feeling better. So they tie the two things together. This relates back to wellness, again, lifestyle, mental health improvement. So we do have a few key seasonal moments to consider as well as we kick off the new year. Veganuary is a massive moment, which is spoken a lot about on Reddit. We have a large community who are interested in understanding more about veganism as well. So as Veganuary kicks off the new year, for the month of January, we do see a 31% increase in growth in UK visitors to r/vegan, where users are looking for recipe inspiration or recommendations on good restaurants to have a vegan meal in. And then also alongside that, we have challenges on some of the subreddits like r/52 weeks of vegan, where users post a vegan dish a week and try and encourage each other and support each other to kind of continue that, that challenge for as long as they can. And then alongside that as well, we have a lot of communities talking about different diet plans or healthy eating or more conscious eating. So r/keto has seen the largest spike in visitors over the past year of 92% growth. And we also see a large conversation around people coming to the platform to look for weight loss advice or spark that conversation in resolutions for the new year. And then career goals is the final one. So career change conversations do take place across a number of different industries and salary bands, as Redditors are more often seeking improved happiness rather than more money, in a sense. So what we see is a significant number of users looking to move professions or get some support or kind of understand what it would be like to work in those different communities or different industries. And also because redundancy has been a major kind of problem during the pandemic, it has forced a lot of people to kind of rethink their career and their happiness. So they do come to Reddit to kind of seek that support and encouragement as the new year starts. Just a snapshot here of a few of the top subreddits that are included in a number of those key consumer behavioral changes in the new year. So we will send this across to you, so don't worry about writing it down. And you can then include all of these in your campaign as well, and make sure to target the right users in the right places. And then one thing I just wanted to point out, so as mentioned with a lot of New Year resolutions, a lot of people do start to think about these before the new year even starts. So as the holiday period does come to an end over the next few weeks, there is that 5-day period between Christmas Day and New Year's, where the CPMs on Reddit do decrease by 24%. And this period can be called Q5 as a kind of major opportunity to take advantage of when it comes to advertising. It is the perfect time to take advantage of that low CPM and start launching your campaigns before the new year even begins, so that we can stay top of mind to users as they enter and they come to the platform in the new year. So it's always a great opportunity to launch just slightly ahead of time. Cool. Great. So I'm going to just go into setting up your campaign for success, a few best practices and tips and tricks that we would kind of recommend that you guys just kind of adopt when you launch your campaign. So going into an optimal sort of campaign structure and what that would look like on Reddit, to be fair, it is quite similar to a lot of the other social platforms. There's not a lot of differences that we see, but there are a couple of things that we would mention just to make sure we are aware of when launching that campaign. So let's take, for example, a business that's looking to drive sales for a new plant-based milk in the new year. We already know that Reddit users do flock to the platform to discuss healthy eating in the new year. And we can also, of course, take advantage of that seasonal moment for January to launch the campaign in. So starting from a campaign level, we'd set our objective as conversions to optimize towards our high intent users that have a strong purchase behavior on the platform. And then when it comes to the ad group level, there are a number of splits that we can make. So the first is with our audience. Here at Reddit, we recommend splitting out our audience targeting by interest groups and communities. So interest groups are broader, they're higher level categories of interest, and they within them may include multiple subreddits that relate to that particular category. So in this case, we could go with food and drink and healthy living. And then community-based targeting is where we can target those really specific subreddits. So the audience will be narrower, but there'll be much higher intent. So in this case, we could go with r/vegan or r/52 weeks of vegan, or even r/healthy eating. And then the second way we split is by placement or device. So we would split out mobile versus desktop here. And we recommend separating those ad groups this way so that we can control the budget allocation more efficiently and make sure not to miss out on the users that are on desktop as well as on mobile, even though we see the majority of users on mobile devices. And then also another one to mention is depending on the size of the budget and the number of countries that we want to advertise in, we can also split out our ad groups on a country level. We would recommend testing this. All of kind of what I've mentioned is going to be a test and learn approach. So we would recommend testing that first, just to see if there are any major discrepancies in the results and the performance from those key countries. And then we can take learnings from that and reallocate our budget. But of course, you know, making sure to just understand what the end goal is and if it's necessary to even make all those kind of splits. And that way we can kind of just make sure the campaign is set up for success. And then from an ad level perspective, this is where we would upload our creative. So we would suggest between no more than sort of 3 to 5 ads per ad group. And we would also recommend refreshing these creatives every 4 to 6 weeks so that we can avoid that creative fatigue. And as Mary mentioned previously, we do also have the option to install the Reddit pixel. This is something that would be super useful when we are running a conversions campaign. We can then build a retargeting campaign off the back of that if we're driving people to our website or offline onto a different page. And that way we can just continue to drive people further down the funnel and make sure that we are targeting the most high intent users. Cool. Cool. And then just a few tips and tricks that we would make sure to recommend. So first of all, it would be installing the Reddit pixel. It's really simple to do this, and there's just a piece of code that needs to be added to the back end of the website. So if you guys have any questions on that at all, please do feel free to reach out. The second is, of course, building with that testing mindset, that test and learn mindset. So Reddit is a test and learn platform. It's not a one size fits all. So what might work for one advertiser might not work for another. So it's really important that we continue to test from the beginning, and we also take learnings from what we're testing and optimize as we go along. The third is making sure to test our different audience groups as well. So for example, the audience that you may think is the most relevant to your brand on Reddit might not be the actual same case on Facebook or Instagram. So it's really important to make sure we are testing broad audiences at the start, and then kind of narrowing that down as we take learnings from how our campaign is performing. And then the fourth is ensuring our bids are competitive in the auction. So on the Reddit ads platform, we do have a bid recommendation tool, and this will recommend the bid price to set for that particular campaign. So setting your bids at this recommendation will put you in a strong position to win the auction. However, as the platform does become more or less competitive, given the period of time or the moment in time that we are advertising in, that bid recommendation might change. So it's always good to continue to monitor that bid and make sure to adjust it as and when is necessary. And then the fifth one here is to have a couple of variations in creative ready. So creative and copy is always really important to test on the platform, whether that's static or that's video or it's short or long form copy. So we would recommend having a few variations with those things included. And as we kind of let the campaign go live and see the results, we can optimize towards whichever ones are working better. And then the final one would be making sure to run the campaign for at least sort of 10 days to 2 weeks before making any dramatic changes. This is just so that the algorithm has enough time to sort of optimize and learn before we make any huge changes, so that it has time to also find the right audience and find the right people who are interested in our particular ads or our offering. So yeah, and then just moving into as well a couple of quick creative and copy best practices. So we would recommend to ensure your ads have the best chance to engage Reddit users to kind of, we would encourage all of these best practices to be met. And if you do kind of ensure these are met, then we will be setting up the campaign for success. So starting with communicating a clear and immediate value proposition. You want your brand to clearly tell what you are selling, how people can get it, and where people should buy it. And I think having that immediate value proposition, it might sound a bit basic, and it might feel like we already kind of do that with our ads, but a lot of brands, in my experience anyway, don't quite accomplish this within their ads. So the key thing to do is really make sure we're highlighting a special offer or a promotion in the asset or in the copy, but in a really, really simple and clear way. Then the next one here is probably the most important best practice on Reddit. So using an authentic and conversational tone, we should, when we're addressing Redditors on our platform, we should speak to Redditors how we would speak to our friends. So a nice rule of thumb here is reading your copy out loud. And if you wouldn't say that to a friend at a party, then it's probably not the right tone for Reddit. So you can see here in this Robin Hood example, they're using we, which makes the language a lot more colloquial, and it positions the brand as a lot more approachable as well. Cool. And then lastly, experimenting with longer headlines is our final sort of best practice. So as Mary mentioned earlier, Redditors do like to read. So unlike any of the other social platforms where you want your copy to be punchy, short, and to the point, on Reddit, you do have the ability to experiment with those longer headlines and the copy and the humor, as you can see here in the purple example. Cool. So just to kind of finish off, a couple of key takeaways that we would want you to leave today with. So Reddit does have an unduplicated audience, which is an audience that you won't be reaching on any of the other social platforms. Q5 is a huge opportunity on Reddit, and we would encourage you guys not to miss that one. And then the final one is creative is really important and one of the main drivers of growth for your brand on Reddit. So just make sure to be aware of the type of copy and creative that you're putting out there. Amazing. Cool. So we've got some time now for Q&A. So open to any questions. If you guys want to drop it into the chat or in the Q&A, maybe we'll give a couple of minutes to populate that, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, so I've already answered a couple of the early questions, so we can just dive in as we have about 6 minutes left. I'll start diving into the remaining questions. So I think the next question is from Gabriel asking, how should the ad be different from desktop to mobile? Gabriel, we don't actually recommend any sort of optimization for the creatives different from desktop and mobile, as the ad renders the same. And then would you start off with the conversion campaign when you start running ads for the first time? From Gabriel. I love all the questions, Gabriel. It really depends on your objective. So if you're trying to drive purchases, drive leads, drive a specific action, we would recommend running a conversion campaign to kick off with. But if you're trying to drive traffic, video views, or awareness, we would recommend a different objective. I can answer the next question from Carol. So Carol asks, will there be more metrics to track, ROAS or ACOS, for example? Sash, do you know what ACOS is?
Average cost of sale. So ROAS we do have on the platform. I believe we do have it for certain objectives, certain campaigns. However, not for everything just yet, I believe. But that one will come back to you on. ACOS, I'm not sure yet, but I potentially, I think these are all metrics that we will continue to kind of build products for and build capabilities to track. But at the moment, we don't have that on the platform.
I can actually add some more color to this. Thanks for helping me with the acronym. So ROAS and ACOS are actually available only through an alpha right now. So for the general advertiser, this is something that we're currently testing and building. However, it's not generally available. I would expect it to be available sometime in the new year. So if you're interested in using our alpha to get tracking like that, I would recommend reaching out to get connected to a salesperson. And then, okay, Jamie, we will definitely share the presentation so you could share internally. Thank you for the compliment. Oh, Sashita's already on it.
I've just been replying to a couple. Let me see if there's any others.
Will we get a recording of this webinar? We are recording this, so I feel like we can share it. So yeah, I think we will be able to share it. Gabriel, so namely using traffic versus conversion as it requires more data for the algorithm. So if your goal is to drive purchases, I would strongly recommend sticking with the conversion objective. Our back-end algorithm is actually quite simple. So even if you're throwing a few £100 or euros at a campaign, it will quickly learn what is the best performing ad and optimize your campaign from there. So I would definitely recommend that over the traffic objective. What is the budget you recommend to start a campaign and why? Oh, this is a loaded question, Christina. I love it. It definitely depends on the objective. For instance, if it's a performance campaign, what is your cost per action that you're trying to go for? If it's a higher cost per action, we would recommend a higher testing budget. If you're working with the sales team, we recommend testing budgets anywhere from 10,000 to 30,000 pounds across a 1 to 2 month period of time. However, if you're working with smaller budgets, I would recommend anything from like 5 to 10,000 pounds. I would just recommend like a 4-week testing period, as it could take some time for the platform to get learnings. Sheeta, any ones that you wanted to tackle? I can tackle the not safe for work content. So Leaf, thank you for the question. We do have quite a bit of brand safety controls in place. So we only allow ads in brand safe environments, as well as ads within the home feed next to posts that are handpicked whitelisted by our policy team. So on top of that, we also have a negative keyword list on the back end. So rest assured, we do take a very strong stance to our brand safety. And if you navigate to our Reddit Ads Help Center, we have more info on brand safety.
I can take this one by Sneha. Can we see category-wise targeting metrics, how they've been performing in terms of impressions, engagement, clicks, etc.? So yes, we can. There's a couple of different ways in which to do this. If you want to, if you have an ad group where you're including multiple interests or multiple communities, that we do have a breakdown option within the dashboard where you can kind of click it to see which categories or which interests or which communities are doing, how each of them are performing. Alternatively, you can also split them out individually into separate ad groups, and that way you can also kind of see each and every single community or interest group and how it's performing.
Cool. And guys, I realize we are at time. However, Sashita and I can stay on for a few minutes just to answer these questions that are still trickling in. For those of you that do have to drop, we do really appreciate your attendance and your participation in the questions. So hope you all learned a little today and might feel inclined to test out Reddit for the new year. So just getting back to these remaining questions. So from Gabriella, do you have any recommendations for daily budgets in the beginning? This is a great question. We set the budgets at the ad group level. So you have the campaign, ad group, and then the creative level. That's sort of the build of a campaign on Reddit. So we would recommend no less than $70 to $75 per ad group per day. That ensures that the ad group spends thoroughly throughout the day.
Cool.
And then Gabriel, oh, you got this one, Sachita?
I was going to do the Ewan's one around minimum threshold of event conversions required for a campaign to optimize towards it, or would an install campaign be required to begin in order to collect the data? So from what I understand, there's not a particular learning phase at Reddit. So we don't have, like a 10-day learning period for the campaign to then optimize towards a particular event or a particular outcome. So the campaign starts to optimize from the get-go, from the beginning of launch. However, if we are to run a retargeting campaign, for example, then we would need, I believe it's a minimum of 50 conversion events before we can actually retarget based off of that data.
Perfect. Yeah. And then Gabriel, so how well do people respond to Reddit ads? Man, you're coming at us with so many questions. I love it. So I think about ads on Reddit like you would on any other social platform, sort of. So back to Sachita's creative best practices. If you were building ads that are like tailored to Redditors really appreciate the ads. So we would recommend really leaning into those creative best practices of being like very upfront with your value prop, conversational, experimenting with longer headlines so that you look more native to the platform. And I think Redditors will appreciate your ad.
Cool. There's a question from Gabriel also about the pixel. Will it be made server-side? So from what I understand, I mean, Mary, you probably know this one better than I do, but there should, I believe, in the future be conversions API integrations that we will introduce onto the platform, just so that we can implement server-side, so that we kind of avoid the iOS 15 issues and the cookies issues, since they're being deprecated in the future. So I believe that will be a direction that we will be moving into. But if Mary, you have any more knowledge on that one, please feel free to add.
No, perfect. You
Cool.
handled that great. And then we're getting a lot of thanks. Thank you for that. We appreciate you.
Cool. And then case studies. Yes, actually, that is definitely something we can share. We can share this with the deck. We can include a couple of case studies in there too.
Okay.
Amazing.
Thank you all for the questions. Really appreciate it. And we will be following up with the deck, the recording. Thank you all for your time. Wish you all Happy New Year.
Cool. Thanks so much, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.